good morning. It's Wednesday and it's time to talk less antiques. And today, first part of the show, we're going to talk about ball canning jars. You know, this is canning season. Maybe it's coming to an end now, but then after that, we're going to talk about dug relics, not buttons, not bullets, but we're going to talk about guns and swords that's been dug and some of the prices. And you're going to really be surprised that some of those dug guns bring more than a gun just like it that's not dug.
Even guns that are just found in pieces.
Yeah.
Bring big money.
All right, so let's kick it off here, Ronnie, and let's talk about ball canning jars. Now, I know that you've done a quick study, and didn't they have a ball canning jar that was a 13 that everybody was hunting at one time? What about that?
Yeah,
Winford?
the moonshiners, supposedly they broke most of the 13s. That was an unlucky number.
Yeah. And
the guys that was running shine didn't like to use the jars that had 13s on them, so they'd break them. And therefore there's less of those on the market.
Yeah.
And where the regular jars usually look to bring, you know, $8 or $10, let's say, for a common blue jar, the 13s would bring more like, you know, at one time 50 bucks, 30, 35, and they're still harder to find.
And probably getting harder.
Oh yeah,
all the time.
Yeah, because when people get them,
Ronnie,
they tend to want.
Pull your mic towards you.
They tend to want to keep them when they get them.
Pull the arm towards you a little bit, or is it going to jump up?
And I don't mean to offend you boys. Ball canning jars are really wildly popular now. Painted.
What? Painted?
People are chalk painting them. We girls were chalk painting them all different colors and using them for.
Yeah, but that's not for canning. That's for decoration.
That's for decoration.
Yes.
But hopefully they're not taking the big high dollar ones and painting them.
Well,
hopefully they know what they're looking for and not.
Now, chalk painting, what are you talking about there? What do they use when they chalk paint them?
It's some kind of a mixture. It's done with a brush, but it's done with a mixture of
on the outside, obviously.
Yeah.
Hey, Ronnie,
they're painting
reminder. My wife told me she watched the show last week.
Yes.
And when you drink coffee, don't sip it.
Don't cause a slurp.
Yeah, don't slurp it.
Don't slurp my coffee.
No, she said the show was really good, but remind Ronnie not to slurp his coffee.
Hopefully Miss Nancy can keep us all on our manners.
Well, you better let it cool down.
Yes.
You know that she's out here critiquing us.
I know she is.
All right, let's hear some prices of some of those canning jars.
Well, they got the cork top jar, which was made in the mid-1800s.
Now, these are jars that probably either sold or they're appraised, one of the two.
Right. This is appraised value for them.
Okay.
The cork did little to preserve the contents, it says, but they brought about $150.
You know what would preserve the contents better than anything? Is that big fat, like when they'd make sausage and stuff, they'd pour the grease in the top of the jar. That preserved the contents, ain't that? You remember that, Winford?
Yeah, it would seal the.
Yes, sir.
It would seal the stuff below it. Extra sealant.
Yeah, it would.
They had an upside down. They called it an upside down jar by ball, and I had never heard of that. And it was issued from 1900 to 1910, and it could double as a dispenser for a coffee grinder. So the short production window of it made it a little more expensive, and they bring about $1,000.
Ooh, Lord. Now, you know, I have some coffee grinders, but I don't have a glass one. Do you, Winford?
Yeah.
You do have?
Well, no.
I've got butter churns that are glass and metal, both ways.
Wouldn't you like to run up on a few of those?
Well, now you've got Winford. He's out on the prowl every weekend, so he'll be able to find some.
There's no telling how many I've walked past.
Y'all are going to give me
and
some
just
clues
overlooked
here on stuff that I need to. That I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, let's hear some more of
them. The Easy Seal, it was by Atlas. It had an amber hue, and it was just decorative. And when it was produced in 1910, there was a misconception that the dark shade prevented spoilage, which
did not.
It did not. No way.
One way to prevent spoilage, and that's to seal them.
That's to seal them.
There was some things. I think the beer bottles was a brown color because of something about pasteurized or something versus non. And there it's always been told that there is some advantage to an amber type bottle.
To keep the light.
Jar to keep the light.
Things that
but
light
maybe
would
not in
spoil.
these canning circles.
No, you would think if you
Yeah.
think about canning jars, how many ambers do you see? Most of them are clear, or colored,
If you see
light
an
blue.
amber
Or
one, I'd pretty well jump on an amber
Yeah.
looking one. There's a lot of makers. You was talking about ball jars earlier, but actually, there was several makers of these jars. Swayze
anytime
and
there's a
different
demand
ones.
for something,
Yeah,
there's going to be somebody out there making them, aren't
yeah. But some of the other brands are also, very collectible.
I would say some of the rarer brands would even be more collectible because there'd be less of them. This beaver jar, the lid of the 1880s jar, and it was made in Canada, had a metal band with a glass top on it. And the government deemed it unsanitary because for the metal to touch directly with the canned foods, and it'll bring about $100.
Well, if you think about the ball canning jars, they did actually have a metal lid with a rubber seal. And actually, I think a lot of people use the top part of that, once they put the ring on it, to date the stuff and put, when they canned it, and they actually wrote on them.
So what would the difference there be?
I think it's difference in the governments.
And that's what I think, between the Canada and the United States.
Oh, yeah.
You want to talk about that one?
Here he's got a violet jar that's made by Columbia, and they used a magnesium type. It was added to the jar, and it caused it to have a purple tint. And when it was exposed to the sun, and it said this color initially was an era, but manufacturers began selling it because it was so popular, so they kept the shade.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's a $400 jar.
What about those milk magnesia jars? Aren't they kind of a purple tint to them, the older jars?
A lot of that blue coloring used to be cobalt type color, and there were some people said that was not healthy, so I don't know what the final story.
I know.
On the beer steins and stuff, all of those, from Germany, they all had that cobalt type color.
I don't know what would be unhealthy about it.
Well, you said it earlier, it depends on the government.
That's it.
If they deem it to be. How much time we got there, young lady? 4 minutes? Well, we'll let Ray. He's got some more figures over there.
Well, I got a lightning jar by Ball. It's a common green shade. This wire bale, 1910 model, commands a respectable rate. A rare cobalt blue model fetches $10,000 or more.
Good Lord, we need a few of those.
Valued at $400.
I want to look at that. Well,
Yeah.
I ain't got any.
Now, I'm shocked
Which one is
myself.
that?
I'm not sure which one that it
What are
shows
you
there.
reading? This one?
The first one there.
The lightning ball jar.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So
You
that's
just need to take this
number-
paper.
I just need to find one or two of them in a bar. David, you interested there,
Oh,
buddy?
yeah.
5 or 10.
I'm always
See that
interested.
one right there?
I want cash now. I don't want no check.
All right.
I want the jars.
I'll take the check.
All
there.
right, let's hear another one, Ray.
All right, we got the improved jar by Hero. This 1870 piece sports a unique glass liner just inside the metal lid. Prior to this detail, Hero users often complained about food going bad.
We just talked about one.
Yep, valued at $200. We got another one here for a self-sealing jar by Kerr. Released in 1915, this item once boasted a rubber lid. When heated, it would melt to create a seal. Missing the topper cuts the price in half, valued at only $40. Got another one here, Sun Jar by Bartow. This was 1890 style. It was known for its lever top. Buyer beware, reproductions abound.
No kidding.
On just about
Yep.
anything nowadays.
If a lid metal looks,
Yeah.
it's likely to be good to be. It's too good to be true.
Okay.
It's valued about $175. And a Willoughby stopple. When this 1858 jar, two-plated top with a wing nut proved defective. Most were thrown out. Today, this scarce find proves that one's era's trash is another's treasure. Its value was around $500.
Looks like they put the wing nut on there to expand the cork.
Well,
and it probably rusted in there.
I'll tell you something, though.
If they
If
sit
you
a
think
while.
about it, how can that glass, if it had a glass lid on it, that's what we was talking about earlier, I could see how that wouldn't seal. Unless we did what we was talking about. If you put sausage in it and poured that grease in it, it would probably seal. But
Now, a lot of them did. A lot of women did that, didn't they?
well, they canned sausage. Anything that they would can like that, it had the grease they would pour up in it.
Yeah.
I'll be truthful when you're looking at
David's
that.
a lot older than us. He remembers more of this.
But also, what you also got to remember is what we're talking about is the time when you didn't have a lot of refrigerators or freezers.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
everything was canned.
Looking at those jars, I'd be a little leery of eating anything from them.
In the root cellar,
Yeah.
where everything went.
People dug those. Tell you what, let's do. Let's take a little old short break. We'll come back, and then we're going to our favorite place, eBay, to see what some of those jars are bringing.
The Jiffy Burger on the Hillsborough Boulevard in Manchester has been voted as having the best hamburgers in Manchester. Hometown atmosphere, historical memorabilia, and of course those great burgers, salads, chicken, and so much more. It's the Jiffy Burger on the Hillsborough Boulevard in Manchester. Call in orders at 728-4452. You can also order at the convenient outdoor curb service. Hamburgers are made the old-fashioned way at the Jiffy Burger, Manchester's finest hamburgers. Open 7:30 until 9, Monday through Saturday.
We would like to thank Dr. David Florence for supporting Let's Talk Antiques. See Dr. Florence at 804 Kalon Street in Manchester for all of your medical needs. Call 728-5522 for your appointment today. Most insurances accepted.
Shelton Lane Antiques in Manchester has over 5,000 square feet of antiques for treasure hunters to explore. They sell vintage clocks, gas pumps, signs, furniture, and glassware. They have over 3,000 vinyl records and a fully stocked 1950-style general store. Owners Harold and Ruby Shelton have been collecting unique items for years, and you can start or complete your own collection today at Shelton Lane Antiques. Open Wednesday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. at 100 Shelton Lane, just off 16th Model Road in Manchester, Tennessee. Come look around and plan to stay a while at Shelton Lane Antiques, where we sell antiques, but the history is free.
Okay, we're back again, and one of our producers, the little cotton-headed one.
That would be me. Thanks for tuning into Thunder Radio. Let's Talk Antiques is happening now. David Pennington is
said
your
that we ought to
host.
introduce ourselves.
Yeah, all you boys need to introduce yourself.
Who are you? Are you Little Abner or are you Winford Pete?
No, I'm Winford Pete today.
Okay.
I'm Ronnie Branch.
And I'm Ray Seckler.
And we're talking about ball canning jars and other canning jars. And we're going to our favorite spot to see what kind of prices those canning jars are bringing there.
Drum roll, boys. Give me a drum roll. I was kidding. Oh, brother. Careful what you ask for. You might get it. I'm Tiffany. I'm just pushing the buttons for the boys today. But the big dollar ball canning jar on eBay most recently we sold for $250. It is a green olive amber quart number 9. $250.
Hey, do you need to answer that phone?
Someone will get it for us.
You sure?
Yes, sir.
Look up the 13s. See, just put number 13 and see what kind of money they're actually bringing.
I did. 2 rare blue pint number 13 ball perfect mason jars sold for $142.50. A single by itself sold for $112.50, but it had the lid, so that would obviously be the reason why it sold for more than the 2 without the lid.
Not much. It's the number on the jar. The lids are common.
Gentlemen, we do have a phone call. You'll have to grab those headphones if you want to hear your caller.
Grab the headphones. You grab it. Ronnie, y'all, Ray.
We'll get them on the air.
Headphones on.
Oh, there's a lot of these jars in people's basements and attics.
Yeah.
Hey, you're on Let's Talk Antiques.
Yes, I listened to y'all's antique jars and everything. I've got about 4 number 13s I've had for years.
Do you have the lid?
I've got the lids on them. They're in perfect shape. They got the, what kind of lid you call them? Got the porcelain in them.
Are pints or quarts?
Quartz.
Okay.
Yeah, we got two couple half-gallon balls. There's the ball. Yeah, I've got a complete set of I've got them up on my shelf, but the one's got I think I want to say they're green or blue. I can't remember, but they got the glass lid with a steel ring that comes up and blocks it down.
How much did you pay for them? Do you know?
Well, I bought them about 20 to 25 years ago. I went down in Alabama with my old lady. No, I think I got 11 of them. They 12 in a complete set. She only had 11 in a milk carton. I bought them from her. But I got 11 of them.
Do you not remember what you paid?
15.
I think it was like $20, $15.
Oh, that's a pretty good deal right there. Do you hear that, guys? $20, $15. It's an ish. Wow.
I think they was like $12 a piece. But you give me the cake and everything. But you know anybody that buys old fruit jars and stuff?
You're looking for someone that buys the canning jars?
Yeah. Tiffany buys them.
I do not.
You do too, because
I have bought one.
All
I
right,
bought one, but it wasn't an old one or an antique one, and
but you need
I just
a
put
few
screws in
antique
it. Nails. I'm not a collector of but it sounds like you made a good investment. You're going to get a good return on your money. Do you boys know of anybody that buys?
Would look at them. I guarantee you.
They're suggesting Shelton Antiques.
Or he could leave his name with you, and then we find
What
some.
antique was it at?
Shelton Lane.
Yeah.
What Kathleen is that out on?
728-5525 is their number.
Is your name Bobby? Huh?
Your name what?
I was wondering if your name was Bobby. You sound like
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay. Well, I know a guy. You sound a whole lot like him on the.
No, it's Walt.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's okay.
Out of Hillsboro.
Well, Shelton Lane Antiques. You can find them in the phone book.
Yeah, well, or 728-5525.
Yeah.
Are they the one out on out there by off the interstate off of 24?
Yeah. Or he could try swap and shop.
Oh yeah, swap and shop.
Yeah. Okay.
Hey, thanks for tuning in, and thanks for the call. We appreciate it. Thank you. All right, we've got another call.
Keep your headset on.
You're on You're on Let's Talk Antiques.
Yes, I was wanting to call about the Spees jars. The gallon, the half gallon, the quart, and the pint jars. Are they worth anything?
What's the brand name on them?
Spees, S-P-E-A-S. You save it jars.
Spees? SP?
But I think he's talking about you save it jars.
You save it. You can look them up.
You save it jars.
She's going to look on eBay and see what they're selling for. And you have a whole set?
Yeah.
All the different sizes?
And the lids with them?
And they got lids on them. They got those zinc lids on part of them, and then some of them have the original lids that say Spees on the lid.
I don't think I'm spelling it right. You save it, so is it just the letter U, and then save it? Mm-hmm. You save it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I got it right here. I get it right here in my hand.
Got some?
It says U-AVIT jar.
U-AVIT.
All right, try it again there, Tiffany.
A-V-I-T?
Yeah.
You ave it.
You ave it? I'm not finding it. I'm spelling it. I think I'm spelling it wrong. I'm not finding it.
Did you put a dash between the U?
I put a dash.
U-SAVIT.
S-A-V-I-T, Tiffany.
I'm not finding anything. And with eBay, sometimes you have to be pretty specific with how you put it in. I'm just obviously not putting it in
They
right.
also, yeah, well, they also call them speed jars, S-P-E-A-S.
S-P-E-A-S.
Well, let's don't have no dead air while she's
Somebody better start singing over there.
And they might be
All right, now the Speeds jars I did find. Oh, and it came up, you save it. I see how it's in there. Okay, now I got them. All right, I've got a high seller. Let's see.
Well, you're on completed auction, right?
Yes, sir.
And if you wonder what I'm doing, I'm just trying
That's
to
all right. He's
not have
coaching
dead
me.
air.
I've got 1 quart You Save It jar, Spees. The quart jar sold for $14.50.
Okay, well, I've got the gallon, the half gallon, and it's a pint's are the most expensive ones.
Why do you think that is? Do you find that with...
Probably more rare. Hey, are you doing house price like we always do?
Yeah, half gallon went for $20. A half gallon jar went for $20. It had the lid.
Do you see any pints there?
I think they made a little bitty one, a little short.
She's looking for some pints.
I'm finding some, they're calling them jugs. The jugs.
Okay, well, they've got a finger hole on them, too. Some of them do.
Yeah, they're calling those a jug or a pitcher.
And?
I've got $20 on a jug or pitcher with the lid.
So you basically got, they're not.
Pints are supposed to be the rarest.
Hang on. Let me see.
I don't see no pints on there.
Oh, here's 2 pint You Save It jars that sold for $160. 2, and they had the lids.
Oh, okay. Well, I haven't got the lid.
That's pretty good.
That's real good.
A 1 pint jar with 7 bids up to $75.
Okay, so he said there's one right now with 7 bids. It's up to $75 the pint jar. So you're right. Those pint jars are more rare.
It's interesting. They listed and they sold the 2 jars. The 2 pint jars sold for $160 with the lids, but they're not listing the year. It's not like they're claiming what year.
Huh.
Supposedly around the 40s. It's supposed to be in the 40s or the 50s. 40s and 50s.
Do you think that if they listed the specific year that the item would go for more? If they could document the year?
Well, certain things does. I don't really know that much about candy jars.
I don't know about jars. I know I'm going to be learning after today.
Yeah.
Now you're all about the jars?
Yeah.
Nice. I don't know if we were able to help, sir, but we appreciate you weighing in with those jars.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Well,
appreciate that.
We're close
Thanks.
to a break.
We need to take a break. You're tuned into your hometown station, Thunder Radio. The boys will be back for some more Let's Talk Antiques, and you can be part of the program. Call us 728-1320.
Shelton Lane Antiques in Manchester has over 5,000 square feet of antiques for treasure hunters to explore. They sell vintage clocks, gas pumps, signs, furniture, and glassware. They have over 3,000 vinyl records and a fully stocked 1950s-style general store. Owners Harold and Ruby Shelton have been collecting unique items for years, and you can start or complete your own collection today at Shelton Lane Antiques. Open Wednesday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. at 100 Shelton Lane, just off 16th Model Road in Manchester, Tennessee. Come look around and plan to stay a while at Shelton Lane Antiques, where we sell antiques, but the history is free.
We would like to thank Dr. David Florence for supporting Let's Talk Antiques. See Dr. Florence at 804 Kalon Street in Manchester for all of your medical needs. Call 728-5522 for your appointment today. Most insurances accepted.
The Jiffy Burger on the Hillsborough Boulevard in Manchester has been voted as having the best hamburgers in Manchester. Hometown atmosphere, historical memorabilia, and of course those great burgers, salads, chicken, and so much more. It's the Jiffy Burger on the Hillsborough Boulevard in Manchester. Call in orders at 728-4452. You can also order at the convenient outdoor curb service. Hamburgers are made the old-fashioned way at the Jiffy Burger, Manchester's finest hamburgers. Open 7:30 until 9, Monday through Saturday.
All right, we're back again, and we're still on jars. We got a phone call, haven't we?
We're talking antiques, and we do have a phone call. Hey, you're talking antiques. Thanks for being here. You have a question or a comment about jars?
Yes, I was going to say that I got 3 of those use-savage jars, and I got lids and the rubbers, and one of them's one of them's a gallon, and I never could find a half a gallon. It's a gallon and a quart and a pint.
So you've been working hard to find them?
Yeah. No, we've had these for years.
Ah.
They belonged to my husband. He passed away 14 years ago, and just a lot of stuff like that sitting around.
Do you display them?
Huh?
Are they out where people can see them?
Oh, yeah, I've got them. They're in the cabinet in the kitchen. Then I've got some churns. I've got 2 or 3 of them, and some of them are... I got several things.
Well, how about that? Well, thanks for sharing. Apparently we can't find those just anywhere. That's awesome. Thank you.
Now, which one is it which one's rare?
It was the quart, wasn't it?
What?
I thought it was the pint.
The pint.
The pint. The pint they're saying is more rare. The pint.
Well, I wish I knew where I could sell them.
Well, that was a gentleman just on the...
Yeah.
He was looking to sell his too.
Hey,
Yeah.
tell them to, Shelton's Antiques, 728-5525. Give them a call.
Did you hear that, ma'am?
No, I didn't understand you.
Shelton's Antiques, 728-5525. Give them a call.
5525.
Harold and Ruby Shelton.
5525.
That's correct.
Oh, Mr. Shelton out yonder?
Yes.
Yeah, I kind of know them people. I've been there, but Lord, I ain't tried to sell nothing lately, so I got a rocky horse that's about 100-year-old.
Well, if you don't ask, you don't get. You got to ask, darling.
I know it.
All right.
I know I've got to get rid of a lot of stuff, so I just wondered about them new saving jars when I hear y'all talking about them.
Well, thanks for tuning in. We appreciate you.
I'll go out to Mr. Shelton.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
You take care, darling.
Uh-huh.
All right. And gentlemen, you fascinated everybody with the canning jars, but I know you wanted to talk about something else.
Yeah, we're going to talk this. How much time we got before we take a break?
You got a good 5 minutes.
Okay.
What you got?
What we're going to talk about now is Doug relics, and we're not talking about mini balls or belt buckles and that type. We're talking about the guns and the swords. And Winford,
yes,
you said that you go to a lot of gun shows and you've seen a lot of this. So maybe you need to speak to what you've seen at the gun shows, and then we'll give them some prices of some Doug relics that we found. Plus, you brought one.
Yeah, I'm really not into that stuff that much, but at the gun shows, I do like to go to those, and there's a lot of the shows don't have anything like that. But if you go to a show in certain areas in Franklin, I went to one down in Mississippi. There's some places that have a lot of Civil War stuff, and the ones Ronnie I think mentioned it earlier, that what's unusual now is a lot of the Doug relics and pieces are worth more than the guns that are in better shape, that are actually presentable type weapons. So I like the show in Franklin, Tennessee, in Franklin, because of the battlefield over there, more interest, a lot of activity. One of the biggest battles of the Civil War. That's an area where I like to go, and they have a real big Civil War type gun show and other relics. And I think it's coming up December 5th and 6th of this year. People need to look on the internet and verify that, but that is really a good show, and you get to see a lot of pieces. Used to, Nashville had a really, really large show, and I understand that now it may be in the Franklin area now. It's at the Ag Center just off the interstate.
That was fixing to make my question.
Yeah, it's off.
Now, this is a piece that's been dug, right?
Yeah, it actually was picked up. If you look on this is a barrel of, I think, I don't know which rifle for sure, but the bayonet sat on the side like this. But the barrel and the bayonet was found all together. It's never
in
been
one piece.
never in one piece. And if you look on this barrel, you'll see disc marks where this was in a field, and it's been bent. It's been run over. There's places, all over it where it's been hit with implements in the field
with discs.
Yep. And just a bayonet like that, they used to sell for about $75 if there's dug, even with the tips broke. That tip is still good, but one like that would probably be $125 to $175 now.
Would you say that's about 4.5 feet tall?
Yeah.
Long.
The rifle barrel.
Yeah. So they come out. He comes out with this big, huge barrel, folks. It's 4.5 feet long with a bayonet on the end, and then he starts waving it around the studio. So just so you know, for our listeners out there.
Yeah, but he thought he was Zorro.
Okay, and then there's that. But please continue. But I wanted them to have the mental picture.
First part of the show, I thought I'd better.
I feel threatened.
Yeah.
I
felt threatened.
You better arm yourself.
Yeah.
You felt
threatened?
I
believe in bearing arms. Okay, so anyway. This one here with the barrel attached, I've been told that it probably at the Civil War show would bring maybe $400, something like that. If you had more of the receiver of the gun, it keeps adding value. Most any of them found the wood is all rotted off and everything.
All right, help me out because I'm just a girl. And I just don't know. Okay, so the whole barrel plus the bayonet, the whole shebang's about 4.5 feet long. How long is the rest of the gun?
Another good 2 foot.
So how do you maneuver around through carrying something that's 6.5 feet long?
Well,
shoulders.
If you only know that type of weapon, if that's all you ever carried, you learn how to maneuver it. The shorter weapons, it's just like driving a car. You drive a certain car. You're used to a bigger car or a smaller car. If you're used to a smaller car, it drives different. Same way with these weapons. That's all they had.
Yeah.
So they were used to it.
The civilian rifles. This isn't just a military type rifle. The civilian rifles, if you remember, Daniel Boone, Davy Crockett carried those big Kentucky.
Well, I wasn't around then, boys.
You what? Didn't you ever watch Disney?
You never watched Disney and watched that. But anyway, what was so good about it? It was at that time frame they were a smooth bore. So they just shot a round ball through a smooth bore. They had the long barrel to try to keep it a little bit more accurate. Now, that Civil War period, they started rifling barrels, which would spin the ball, which would make it more stable. So, but they still more accurate. But they would still use the long barrels.
Well, that thing is really long. I'm sorry, and I'm I'm like, what is that? A javelin, or you joust with it? What is that thing? And then I didn't know until you started explaining it. But it's long.
Yeah.
And on a gun, it would be just.
Some of them got up to 69 caliber. Which say 50 caliber is a ½ inch cross. So you had this heavy lead in there and the charge of powder and .69.
So how much does that weigh? What's that weigh without the gun? It looks heavy. It's metal.
It's not that heavy.
No? I'm gonna go lift it and I'll tell you people. You can't trust them.
Not over 5 pounds.
All right.
Well, a lot of it's poured out. And David brought up an interesting point a while ago. He said that when the soldiers knew they were going to be captured, they would break their weapons in pieces and scatter them out.
If they were overrun.
If they were going to be
ammunition. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so the rest of that gun could possibly be somewhere close to where it was dug.
What do you say it weighs?
I think that's heavier than 5 pounds.
Really?
Yeah. That's about 7 pounds. But then, no, it's about 7 pounds.
Do you have a scale here? We're gonna find out which one of us is right.
Well, but
you know how lucky you were.
Okay, so it's 4.5 feet long with the gun on it. You're saying another 2 feet, so that's 6.5. Okay, whatever. Okay, what he said, and then but plus the weight of that part. I'm just trying to figure how they maneuvered this thing around.
Well, this was an infantry type person's rifle. Or musket, whichever it was. But on the horseback, the cavalry guys, they carried a shorter rifle. They carried what was called a carbine, or carbine, depending on if you're from the north or south.
Watch it. But careful.
Anyway, carbine to you, maybe.
Yeah,
but anyway,
behave yourself.
But they're a shorter, more easily handled rifle, and they would fit in a scabbard on the saddle. So and they didn't use bayonets on theirs.
Just ergonomically speaking.
3-foot sword or so.
Yeah, see,
that thing's a nightmare, ergonomically speaking.
They carried at least probably a 3-foot sword. So.
And what you got to remember too, if you go to the Civil War show, you would just be fascinated out of your mind. The uniforms and stuff they have, the originals and stuff. The guys were small people.
Well, I'm not a very
very
weight
big guy.
was like about
and-
120 pounds.
Yeah,
wasn't it?
they just weighed 120 to 150
5'2",
pounds.
5'3".
That's why Lincoln was such a giant among men, because he was so tall and wore his big tall hat. But the average uniform you see at these shows, I mean, they're so tiny.
120
They look
pound
like kids' suits. Is
And
what they look
that's
like. But
interesting.
that was a
David
average
showed me
size.
one the other day, and I found that hard to
Now
hard to
put
believe.
that with these type of rifles, plus carrying a bag of ball ammo, lead, plus powder, plus
and
your
your
sword
pack.
or your knife,
Your
plus
bag.
your pack. It wasn't a good time to be out fighting
No
4-year
kidding.
war.
Yeah.
What was that one general? You know, Lincoln was like 6'2" or 3", but this guy was 6'6". Do you remember what his name was? He towered over Lincoln. I read a story one time.
Did they call him Shaq? Oh, it wasn't.
But you think about that. You talking about a giant? 6'6" man.
Oh, I know it.
During the
Back
Civil War
then.
was a tall person. When the average was 5'2".
Well, he was a giant. He was
Yes.
a giant of a man.
Lincoln was. You know, Lincoln had to look up to this guy to talk to him.
I don't remember which one it was.
Well, you can Google that. How's that? You Google that sometime. I know you Google it.
Maybe.
Well, thanks for answering my questions about the big long barrel and the bayonet, the weapon you brought in here to threaten me with.
Maybe I'll let you try the shorter rifle.
Well,
size
you
one.
know.
Well, we could work her up, work her from a small to get her up to where she
Start her out with a sword.
Nice.
Let's start her out with a pocket knife and work her way up.
There you go.
Listen, boys, I got trouble with just a microphone here. It's, All right, we need to head to a break.
All right, let's do that.
You're listening to Let's Talk Antiques on your hometown station, Thunder Radio.
We would like to thank Dr. David Florence for supporting Let's Talk Antiques. See Dr. Florence at 804 Kalon Street in Manchester for all of your medical needs. Call 728-5522 for your appointment today. Most insurances accepted.
Shelton Lane Antiques in Manchester has over 5,000 square feet of antiques for treasure hunters to explore. They sell vintage clocks, gas pumps, signs, furniture, and glassware. They have over 3,000 vinyl records and a fully stocked 1950-style general store. Owners Harold and Ruby Shelton have been collecting unique items for years, and you can start or complete your own collection today at Shelton Lane Antiques. Open Wednesday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. at 100 Shelton Lane, just off 16th Model Road in Manchester, Tennessee. Come look around and plan to stay a while at Shelton Lane Antiques, where we sell antiques, but the history is free.
The Jiffy Burger on the Hillsborough Boulevard in Manchester has been voted as having the best hamburgers in Manchester. Hometown atmosphere, historical memorabilia, and of course those great burgers, salads, chicken, and so much more. It's the Jiffy Burger on the Hillsborough Boulevard in Manchester. Call in orders at 728-4452. You can also order at the convenient outdoor curb service. Hamburgers are made the old-fashioned way at the Jiffy Burger, Manchester's finest hamburgers. Open 7:30 until 9, Monday through Saturday.
All right, we're back, and now we've got some examples of one good rifle and one good sword that's not Doug, but I'm going to get it and hold it up.
All right, I'm just going to be honest here. When he first said, look up Doug Guns, I'm thinking, is that a name brand?
Well, I noticed that the way you spelled it.
Turn it around the other way and you can see
But he was talking about
mechanism.
have been dug
All
for.
right, now you talk about this, and I'm going to
Winfrey
hold
told
it.
us an interesting story about this.
This is a Spencer rifle. It's the first repeater type rifle they used in the Civil War. We was talking about relics being dug. Since Beech Grove was the first place that these rifles were used, if a person could find the parts of a Spencer down in Beech Grove, it would really be a true find. But they also used those at the Battle of Franklin. They had Henry's repeaters and the Sharps also over there. Now, what David's holding up now is called an artillery sword. It's fashioned after the gladiator swords from the Roman days, and they are called a short sword, artillery sword. And this is an example here. This is more of a southern type of design. It's French made.
Okay, I have a question. Because on eBay I have a listing for an 1863 Spencer repeating rifle sword.
Sword.
It's a Spencer repeating rifle sword. So, did the rifle and the sword come together? You got a match set, it attached to it? No?
No. So what is that?
Bayonet, sword.
He made
Sword, bayonet, but it's got a handle on it like a sword.
Yeah, well, bayonets have handles.
Yeah.
A lot of them did have handles. Depending on, like this bayonet here doesn't have a handle. But there is some bayonets with handles. But I never seen one go on a Spencer. Have you?
Well, the earliest Spencers was during the war period of '63.
Yeah.
This rifle here, I think, is a '65 model, which would have been the year after the war ended. This was more of a Western period. They used these. Of course, a lot of those rifles from the Civil War period were, taken on out west and used in the campaigns.
Yeah, they didn't stop making them after the war.
No, they was made for several years. But I think maybe
What'd
that
you
is
say
the
about
last
that one,
model.
Tiffany?
Did you, about the bayonet?
How much did it bring?
$250.
$250. Do you have how many bids? Did
Mark
you have?
that
One
cheap
bid.
enough if it's in
One
good
bid.
shape.
One bid.
Well, I'm always leery of one bid.
Yeah.
Anybody can bid one time.
Well, now here's interesting.
Including
Did you
one
say how much that rifle was worth?
No.
If you did, I missed it. Well, here's a lot of rifle parts.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pieces
You
and
won't find no
parts.
rifles on eBay or handguns.
Just a collection of pieces and parts sold for $300.
Yeah.
Teeny tiny little parts.
If you look up 18, or just look up Spencer rifle for sale.
Not on eBay because you won't find one, Tiffany.
No, not on
You'll
eBay.
have to
You'd have to
Google it.
Google it. So you might not want to jump off eBay for that.
Gotcha.
But the rifle's probably, $2,000 to $2,500,
Depending on the
something
rifle.
like that. Yeah.
Here's a
Yours
Confederate
is in good shape.
Enfield rifled musket. Confederate marked, it
That's
says.
the Doug one, right? That's not a.
I believe that is a Doug.
Yeah. What did it bring?
$2,450.
That's about in line with it.
Yeah.
That's the guy up there by Stones River battlefield.
Yes.
Just outside
He's got
the park.
he's got a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So if you're saying Doug rifles as opposed to the rifle you have is not a Doug
No.
rifle.
What we're talking about during the war, a lot of guns got dropped. Not just during the war. Western, a lot of guns got dropped or lost.
Well, yeah,
And
they were
in
heavy
time
and
it
gravity
would be-
was in full effect.
Yeah, in time it would be covered up, and that's a Doug piece. That's what we're talking about.
But how do you know your piece is not Doug?
Because it's shootable, and you can tell.
It's clean. I mean, you can tell. The wood would be rotted.
Have you ever
everything.
seen a rusty pipe?
Well, the difference in the rust and the patina on that one versus this
I
one.
see.
you
Hasn't been too
it's
long
incredible.
ago. They found one standing by a tree in a national park.
Yeah, you found them
No
a
telling
lot
how
in the
long they've been
battlefield. The guys would. They would stick their rifle in the ground with a bayonet on it. They'd stick it this way, and then they might get overrun or whatever. And they found lots of those bayonets stuck into the ground this way, where the rifles had
Pointed down.
been taken point down. Even around here, I know a boy out at Lumley Stand. I don't know if you know where that is, off of Nat Hill Road.
I know where
But
that's
he found several bayonets along an old fence line, a fence row, and they were all stuck in the ground that way. And there was I think there was a pretty good battle out at Lumley Stand.
Well, I've got a
Lots of
ramrod
stuff had been found.
that was found out by the lake that they actually put it in the gun and shot it in the ground. About 6 inches of it was still standing up.
Well,
That's how they found it.
the reason the ramrods was in the ground, you always find them nearly in the ground, because when they shot to reload, they didn't take them and put them back in the end of the gun. So you had to do something with them. You couldn't lay them on the ground, so you stuck them in the ground. You shot, then you'd pick it up and reload.
So there you
then
go.
you'd stick it in the ground. But
Well, this
and
one
then
here-
you had to move quick. You would run off and leave it, or you'd leave, and then all of a sudden you've got a useless gun.
Yeah.
If you don't have a ramrod, you've got nothing.
And it took some time to load those guns.
Now this gun here, this ramrod.
ramrods you really find.
Well, this
sticking up.
ramrod, I don't know how. We just assumed they stuck it in there and shot it because it was only about 6 inches of it sticking out. They wouldn't have stuck it in the ground that deep, I wouldn't think.
Well,
and harder to pull out.
In the heat of battle,
Yeah,
you got a lot of adrenaline flowing. You
Yeah,
know? I'd
you're
say
right.
that's not a.
What you got there?
I had some different rifles.
Okay.
That I think the rarity of the rifle that you dig would be a big thing.
Yeah.
The most common rifle that's used in the Civil War was a Springfield, 1861 Springfield. So, and that was a main northern weapon. So anyway, if you found those, I'd say pieces of those would not be that rare. And the second one was an Enfield, 1853 Enfield. That's common. But now you get down, the Confederate stuff is always the stuff, you know, that brings more money, especially in this area. But really everywhere, a lot less of it. But anyway, there was a Fayetteville rifle, and these are named after, I think, where they was made, and a Richmond rifle. And one of them, they were copies of the Springfield, the 1861 Springfield. They had took pieces of these and made them and manufactured them themselves, you know, in the South. But anyway, you find pieces of a Fayetteville or a Richmond, and here's a Whitworth. That was the main rifle for the Confederacy, and it was imported. It was a British type rifle. Until the blockades, you know, stopped them from bringing stuff over. It's just like one of those artillery swords that came from the French. The French sent us a lot of stuff. The Sharps rifle, of course, was really popular at the later part of the war because it was shorter and would shoot 7 times. A Frank Wesson rifle, that is a real nice rifle. It's got 2 triggers, and the front trigger drops it down. Let's see. This Colt revolving rifle, if you had one of those, it's got a cylinder like a pistol. If you could find pieces of those, it would be in the thousands and thousands of dollars. Yeah. So, you know, there's a lot of rifles that was used. The Maynard, the Morrell, the Burnside carbines, the Smith carbines, all these rifles.
The Henry? I see you got a Henry down there.
That Henry was really, that was a prized weapon. If you remember right, one time you brought a guy over to the house that had a Henry.
Oh, it's a rare one.
Those Henrys, they run $20,000, $30,000.
Yeah, they got one $40,000 for that gun. Remember, it was the insurance company had paid for it because it got stolen and they found it, and this adjuster, you know, it was his job to sell it.
Yeah,
we should have bought that gun though because it was perfect.
Yeah,
you should have bought it. He offered to sell it to you for what? Wasn't it 15,000?
18,000. I think.
But if the insurance company, Ronnie, had paid off
40,000 on it. So that would have been a good buy on that gun.
Every screw on it was original.
Now it would be, it'd be awesome. But anyway, if a person's interested in this stuff and the ones that are worth more money, you know, you can always go to the internet and you can Google things like this, and you get a lot of good information. If you run across something you don't know about or something that you want to check a little bit more into.
Well, we're definitely going to have to continue this show next week a little bit more because Ronnie, that Antique Weekly that you got the story also was talking about those Civil War cannons that was in the river.
Yes.
So we really need to...
The PD cannons, they were off the PD ship.
Yeah, we really need to... next week we'll talk more about these weapons that's been dug up either in the river or on, you know, farmland. But also we're going to try to talk about Western Clippings, which is it's a magazine that's published every 3 months, and what it does, it tells you all the cowboy stars, whether they be male or female, that are passing away, and so that's going to be kind of interesting because if you think about it, there's not many of those left now. There is one lady that I was looking at the other day. She was in a lot of westerns. She's 95 years old. I mean, she's born in 1920, which put her in the silent movie era. I mean, how many silent movie era people is there left?
Hardly any.
Couldn't be. But anyway, how much time we got?
You got a good minute.
Yeah.
What you gonna do with it, Dave?
Well, we're going to answer this phone call if it's
well,
if it is something. If it's not, we're going to get out of here. Looks like we're going to. There you go.
Radio station.
Yeah, look at that. Keep talking, Ronnie Winford. Right.
Tommy Scott is that was in the bluegrass music. He was also a producer of a lot of the old Western movies.
Is he still alive?
No, he passed away this past year.
Boy, he'd been a good one to have on the show.
Yes, he would have.
Sure. Let me
To talk about Western.
guys with you in a minute.
Got one?
Not about guns, but we'll get you that one off the air.
Harness up there, Winfrey.
Oh, all right. Sir, what was that item that you had? Ooh, and we lost him. Hang on. We lost him.
Oh, we lost him?
We lost him.
Well,
But don't you worry.
Time is...
We've got more Let's Talk Antiques coming at you every Wednesday morning at 10 o'clock. Gentlemen, tell the folks who you are again.
Yeah.
I'm Ronnie Branch. And
Ray Seckler.
Winford Peak.
And David Pennington.
Gentlemen, we appreciate you sharing your knowledge with us
Do
today.
you really appreciate it?
I really appreciate it.
And y'all need to really tune in next week because the PD cannons are really interesting.
And
Now, you boys aren't bringing a
there's more
cannon in
coming up.
here, are you?
We're not going to bring you a cannon.
Yeah, we might.
What in the
it's longer
world?
than you are. It's longer than you are tall.
I got a weapons rule at the front door now.
I don't know if we can get it in here or not. Not enough of us lived here.
Hey, is that record going to be able to deliver that cannon over here?
Nice.
Did they say whether or not?
Nice.
They're bringing in 2 loads.
All right.
Wheels of one and the
Okay. Let's get out of here.
Shenanigans. Thanks for tuning in to your hometown station, Thunder Radio, the only place you're going to find Let's Talk Antiques.